Yeah, hi everyone. So I'm Mike Shewring. In my day job, I work for the RSPB as a senior conservation scientist, working on kind of peatland restoration and weirdness and stuff like that, mostly in Northern Ireland, but a little bit across the UK. When I'm not working for the RSPB, I'm a non-exec director for Adfer Natur, which is a company I'm going to talk to you a little bit about now. They're a CIC. And they were set up by Joey, myself and Caris. And this kind of came off the back of a lot of work we were doing in South Wales on peatland restoration with the Lost Peatlands project. And this can be a bit of a journey for us, trying to, as I put these slides together a few weeks ago, and I can't really remember what's coming next. So we can go through them together and figure out what's going on. But yeah, this is something that kind of leads into the reason we set up Adfer Natur, and especially in the communities we're working in. It felt really hard sometimes to get people to care about the things we were working on, and trying to speak in their language to convince them they were important to them. And really the problem we saw in the communities we were working in and the landscapes we were working in is that you had this dichotomy of really deprived communities with not many opportunities, but in really close proximity to where quite vast sums of money, if you talk to those people in those communities, were being spent on peatland restoration and habitat enhancement, and they didn't really see, they didn't know those things were happening in large respect when we went to talk to those communities, but what they definitely didn't see was any benefit from it to them, visible benefit. So we thought that didn't feel quite fair to us, and we wanted to make sure, or try and find ways we could make the communities more aware of the benefits they get from those peatlands, so the kind of intangible things they might not be aware of, so maybe some of the water resources, things like that, but also try and see if we could make tangible benefits, really obvious benefits to those communities as well, see if we could fundamentally transfer some of that those benefits in terms of monetary value to those communities or opportunities, and explore how that might work and the things they might want out of it. I mean, well, I will say this is very early days, so this is just what we've tried so far, and there's bound to be other ways to do it, and probably better ways. But first of all, what is a CIC? So a CIC is just a community interest company. So it's kind of a halfway house between a charity and a company. So it's got these kind of three things around it that stop it from being a purely money-making enterprise. So we have an asset lock, so this means that our assets can only be used for certain purposes. We can't exit the company and take all the profit with us. Joey can't buy his Porsche, which he really wants, unfortunately. And we're overseen by we got some regulator oversight, and we've got a community interest statement, which is basically written down the things that we focus on, the things the company is really interested in. And this is our statement, essentially. So we lay down in writing what we thought we wanted the company to focus on. And we focused on two things. So we were really interested in the social community, so the people that live in and around wetlands or wetland habitats. But conversely as well, as we're all ecologists, we really wanted it to be the plants and the habitat that are associated with wetlands and habitats as well. So we wanted that to be part of the things we give back to as well. And really the aim of the company is about bringing those two things together, where we can find win-wins and make things work for people and get benefit and value back to people, but also deliver, a more biodiverse habitats as well. So why a CIC? And really, the reason we chose a CIC was because some of those aspects around the asset lock, so making, having that kind of regulated structure that give people confidence that we were in there for the right reasons, essentially, and the kind of oversight in that. But also, it's slightly more agile than a charity. We could have gone down the route of setting up a charity and having trustees manage us, whereas that would have been a really formulaic and fundamentally slower process to assign our priorities and get things moving. Whereas with the CIC, we can be really quite agile and move things around quickly. And we're still figuring things out. What space we're actually working in. We don't, we know some of the things we do, but we don't know everything we might do in the future. And that allows us to change it quite quickly. And these are just some of the things we might get involved with. So, the clipboard represents maybe surveying, then training and education, working with people, providing restoration plans. And the kind of aim is to do all these things, and money will be involved in that. and try and figure out a way how we can transfer that money to the people kind of side of it, and bring those two things in the middle together a bit more. So bring people and wetlands together, improve both of them, and transfer some of that value from those things that we know need to happen to drive peatland restoration, and make that tangible to those communities, and transfer some of that benefit to them, hopefully. And these are just a couple of things we've done so far. These are some of the projects that have been delivered by the CIC through various different means. So we've done some work for Swansea Local Nature Partnership, delivering peatland restoration plan for them on a Garth Farm site. Similar thing for Torfaen Local Nature Partnership on the Blorenge and Mynydd Garn Vow, and similar thing for Wessex Water. So mostly focused on the restoration planning side of things so far. And that's just because of the opportunities that have come up really this year. And it was still, I keep saying this, but it is really early days. We're still figuring out what we might do in this space. And there, I just thought I'd open this to you guys. What you thought, how would you go about transferring value from this kind of thing to communities? I'll tell you in a minute what we did, but we had no idea how we might go about doing that and what might be appropriate for us at the stage we're at and the scale we're at. You're welcome to shout out if you want. I mean, or I can just jump in to the next slide. But
things like access. How do people access these spaces?
Yeah, I mean that's as valid as any other thing, isn't it? Yeah, I mean. What we did, we donated directly to food banks in those communities. Just because of the complexity of engaging with communities to figure out what they wanted, we didn't have the capacity to do that. So we just thought a really interesting way to put money straight back into communities and deprived communities was to actually give some cash donations for this year. Whether we'll do that in future, I don't know. But that was what we chose to do. And it'd be great to have more feedback on what you think we should do, actually. If anybody's got strong views on how we should funnel money from some of those restoration planning, perhaps, work we might do as kind of a consultancy type action. How should that go back into communities? What would be the best way of doing that? Perhaps is routes through to education or training or providing pathways for apprenticeships. That's something we might be exploring in the future. Yeah, and then the challenges we've reached so far. I think probably capacity for us is the biggest challenge, figuring out what we can do with the time and the availability we've got, and the availability of funding that is directly applicable to the type of things we want to do. I mean, we always say funding is a constraint, but it is slightly, especially for the crossover in the community benefit side of things. Community benefit and other aspects is really well developed. You look at renewables development, there's a whole suite of things going into community benefits, and they've got really well-defined plans. And they go talk to communities, figure out what they want, and there's a defined income stream for that. But we don't have that for peatland restoration, and maybe that's something we need to factor in and think about. But certainly, one of the biggest challenges is knowing what communities want as well. And that takes a lot of work, talking to communities, and we don't have the capacity to do that as yet. And that's something we probably will try and develop. And that's it. So, yeah, thank you very much for listening.